this one habit is what's making you struggle to lose fat. And this habit is simply emotional eating. When it comes to getting lean, it's very important to avoid eating emotionally, so that you don't overconsume your calories and you don't end up overeating, which will make you, get that sense of guilt afterwards. You would end up falling off your plan, and hence you'll struggle to get lean. So I'm gonna give you guys my tip when it comes to quitting or avoiding emotional eating whilst you're on your cut and whilst you're trying to get lean. And this is something that's helped me as well. And everyone goes through the stage where, they end up getting to a point where they feel like eating emotionally because they're stressed, because of worry, loneliness, all of these things. Meaning, they would need to do their best, and this is where the strong mindset comes in. You need to do your best. You need to have that strong mindset where, if I do that, you're gonna end up feeling bad about yourself. You're not gonna end up trusting yourself. You're not gonna respect yourself afterwards. So it's very important to do the best that you can to avoid emotional eating. And the mistake that people make when they try to avoid emotional eating is they simply try to remove it. That's not the best thing you can do. The best thing you can do is to replace that habit of emotionally eating with something else. So let's say if you go for a period of time where you're stressed and you just end up feeling like, eating emotionally, thinking that it's gonna, cure your stress, which is simply not the case, then you should, instead of emotionally eating when you're stressed, you should instead replace that with, walking, meditating, handling stress, just walking up, or, drinking water, walking outside, get some sunlight in, whatever. Replace it with a better habit. You can also have 0-calorie drinks as well, but, it's best to, avoid that and just go for plain water instead. This is how you avoid emotionally eating. You need to avoid it by replacing that habit with something else. Because if you try to avoid it and you don't replace that with something else, then it's not gonna work out. You're gonna overeat. You get what I'm trying to say? So the tip would be to try to replace that habit of overeating and emotionally eating with something better, and that's not gonna harm you. It's not gonna make you feel guilty. You can even listen to music. You can speak to someone, talk to any family member about it. Because if you speak to a family member about it, you're not even going to think about overeating. You're not even going to think about eating to cure your stress. So try to replace that habit with something else, because in my opinion, that's the only way to avoid emotionally eating when trying to get lean. And that's something that I did as well. I had to replace that habit with something else in order for me, so that I don't think about doing that habit of emotionally eating. That's basically how you avoid emotionally eating during any fat loss phase. And that's it from me. If you want more information on how I got to 12 to 15% body fat, then click the link within the description of this video. If not, the fact that you watched this video is good enough for me. I'll see you on the next one.